You're listening to the Multiverse Fancast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
All right then, on with the show.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Multiverse Fancast. Don't forget, if you guys are taking us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you find links to not only this show, but some of our other shows like Cinematic Adventures and MF Uncensored. And as always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, with me via the Zoom studio from Cinematic Adventures and Your Mom's Diary, Sean. Sean, how are you today?
Oh, I am awesome, Paul. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you again for jumping over to give me a hand today because other co-hosts were super busy this weekend.
Hey, you know what? Life is life, and I'm happy to help out any way I can.
Well, it's also perfect that you're here for this one because we're a little outside the box on this one. We were thinking about what we wanted to talk about today, and this one has got some cinematic feel to it. So I think having the co-host of Cinematic Adventures is not the worst idea.
I like the way you think.
I do it every once in a while, so take it while you can and enjoy it while it lasts. But for today, we are talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once. Academy Award-winning Everything Everywhere All at Once. Or
absolutely.
What is it? EEAAO, as they call it?
Yes.
We both, oh my God, thank God we don't do video because the thinking faces we just put on to figure out a very simple acronym. Carry the E, divide by pi, Pythagorean theorem. I figured it out. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
You got to divide by 2.
Oh, man. Actually, that hurt. My brain now hurts. But anyway, it's a good thing my brain hurts now because this film is trippy.
Oh, this was a trip. This was a wonderful, wonderful trip, though. It was very, very good.
For the first time I saw this movie was on a plane. We were traveling to Italy, so we had like 16 hours or something stupid to watch whatever we could, and they were very accommodating with all the different things that we could watch. And I saw it on there and I was like, do I really want to watch this for the first time on a small plane TV? And the answer was, I guess so. So I remember sitting down and just watching this movie and just being like, everybody else is asleep on the plane. I'm sitting there like with my hands on my face, like, what is going on? Trying to wake up my wife to ask her what's going on, but she's like, I'm not even watching it. Stop. I'm sleeping. Leave me alone. But I'm excited to talk about this movie because it just swept the awards. Like, we'll talk about Ke Huy Quan.
Ke Huy Quan.
Damn it! I'm never gonna get it. What if he listens? What if he listens and he's like, "Oh, this guy doesn't like me"?
Well, that's possible, but I don't think that would happen.
Can I call him Data? Is that okay?
You can call him Data. You can call him Short Round. I mean, you can call him whatever. You could call him Encino Man co-star because I honestly keep forgetting he was in that movie.
Did you see him and Brendan Fraser's little thing afterwards?
Yes.
Oh my God. He just seems like the nicest guy in the world. Not just Brendan Fraser. I'm sorry.
Both of them.
Yeah, I know, right? They both started crying and he's like, Brendan, we did it. I'm like, oh my God. He's adorable. I just want
to. Did you ever think you would hear anyone reference Encino Man at the Academy Awards? No.
Oh my God. Thank God Pauly Shore was busy.
Yeah, well, Pauly Shore wasn't happy.
Oh, I can imagine. Didn't they mention like Biodome 2 or something like that?
Or something. It was like they meant because I think they mentioned Pauly Shore, and he's just like, really? Why you got to bring me into this? Like, give it to them. They're great.
I've never been a big fan of Pauly Shore though, so
I never had a problem with Pauly Shore. He was funny for the time he was around, but he played the same character in every movie.
Oh, absolutely. And then like
nowadays, everybody's guilty of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you have something you're good at, just do it. Do it.
Son-in-Law was funny. That one and Encino Man. Biodome was just straight garbage.
Yeah. Well, apparently that was supposed to be a Bill and Ted sequel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Originally, that was tooled as a Bill and Ted sequel, but then they scrapped it and they reworked it into its own thing. And obviously, it was probably for the best.
Probably.
I will say it was probably for the best. But before we jump into Everything Everywhere All at Once, we are going to do a little bit of news, a little bit of discussion, and then we'll jump in. We'll give spoiler alerts when we start getting into the plot because there's a fair chance that not everybody's seen this movie. It's an independent film, so we will give our
but it's definitely gotten a wider release now, especially because of the Oscar nominations, and now because of the Oscar wins. I'm sure it's.
I'm sure people are seeing
it's
a
still
lot
in theaters, and then I think it's Showtime is the only place you can get it streaming right now.
which is wild.
Yeah,
Who has
Showtime? That's how we watched it. We had to do a free monthly trial to Showtime to be able to access it.
I haven't had Showtime since Shameless ended, because that was the only reason that I had Showtime was to watch Shameless.
Yeah, the only big cable provider that we care for is HBO, because you get HBO Max out of it. Other than that, we don't have. I mean, what was it? Showtime, Stars, the Movie Channel. What were the HBO and
Skinamax.
Those
were the days in our wild youth where we thought that was the pinnacle of adult entertainment after 10 a.m. 10 p.m.
Absolutely.
He's not even near her. That's her knee. But anyway, yep, traumatizing.
There we go.
This is supposed to be the family-friendly one, sorry. But before we get into it, like I said, we have some news, and let's start with breaking news from yesterday at time of recording. Jonathan Majors was arrested on assault charges.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, just
so
you don't know what causes these things. You don't know. We still don't know exactly what exactly happened. I don't know if we will. Of course, we're getting the whole he hasn't done anything. We'll wait and see what the due process, all that stuff. But
which is a shame, because he was flying high.
Well, yeah, I mean, flying high from Ant-Man, but
not even Ant-Man, from also Creed, and he's got a bunch of other films coming out.
Creed.
Jonathan Majors just kind of exploded out of nowhere, and I'm all about it. He was fantastic, and I loved him as Kang, and I heard he was great in Creed 3. I haven't seen it yet. I really want to see it, but he doesn't have a whole lot to his resume at this point. So
he's just starting to really take off. So hopefully, well, I mean, again, depending on what he did, if he truly did something awful, then hopefully his career's over. But if he didn't do anything, hopefully this doesn't hurt him and he can continue on.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this. You never know. It's I don't want to say, I don't believe it, or I want to say I do believe it. You got to be right in the middle. Until I hear more, I can't make any rash judgments on it.
Yeah. So we'll wait to get more details, and, we'll go from there. But let's talk a little Shazam. Now, Sean has
nailed
it. It sounded just like him.
You.
So Sean has not seen Shazam, so I'm going to be sparing in the details of what's going to be said. So first and foremost, it's Zachary Levi versus The Rock, apparently.
Yeah, Zachary Levi has no what's to give. I mean, he was. I was actually impressed. I was just he's calling out fairly. I don't know about powerful, but
big names. Zachary Levi's been in Hollywood for a long time, and he has a very devoted fan base. What was it, Chuck? He was on for a long time.
Chuck, yes.
So he's not new to the scene, and he's got a little bit of clout. But that's the thing that everybody was worried about with The Rock taking a big step into DC was, how involved is he going to be? And apparently he was exceptionally involved over this during the past regime, because this is all pre-James Gunn. So apparently they wanted to have Zachary Levi's Shazam cameo in Black Adam, which would make sense, because as much as I love the Henry Cavill cameo, it would have made much more sense if it had been Shazam who dropped down, right? Because those are the two, that's their rivalry. That's always been there.
Rivalry right there.
And it made a lot more sense than Amanda Waller sending in Superman. Why would she send in Superman? Why does she have any clout over Superman? So it makes sense. As much as, again, we love the Henry Cavill cameo, and it's still, it's still the most memorable thing about that movie. It would have made a lot. It's true. It's so true. And I enjoyed Black Adam enough. I think we gave it a 3 out of 5, or
I think it was something like that. It was watchable.
Yeah,
it's not something I'm going to go back and really watch again.
Probably. I might sit down if I have some time and rewatch it, because there's some good stuff in it. All the people he just throws. I always laugh when he just violently throws somebody so far away.
Yeah.
But, so they wanted to do that, and The Rock was like, nope, this is all about me and Henry Cavill's Superman. I want to fight Superman. This is what I want. Now, this is not the first time we have heard of The Rock being demanding in terms of what he expects in his films. Obviously, him and Vin Diesel, their feud has been very public for a long time. Now, on the flip side, apparently, they wanted to have Black Adam cameo in this movie, or they wanted to have a different set of cameos in this movie, but during the mid-credits scene, they cameo 2 other characters in relation to the Justice. I think they wanted to have Hawkman and somebody else from the actual Justice Society come to Shazam, but they have 2 other characters instead. So again, I don't want to spoil it because Sean hasn't seen it, but yeah, so it's weird. Now, something that I mentioned during our Shazam episode was there's a flashback scene in Shazam to the night of the big battle with Dr. Sivana. You remember when he breaks the staff after he gives all of his siblings powers?
Yep.
So they reshot that scene for a flashback in the new movie, but they're all wearing their new costumes, and it's the current Mary Marvel in the scene, not the previous actress who played it. So it wasn't an actress. So they reshot it with the updated costumes and the updated actress, and I was like, that's really weird. Why not just use the stock footage? Who cares? Apparently, this film, we did a little bit more research, and obviously I've been reading some articles and stuff like that. This film was supposed to come out after Flash. And Flash, so apparently Flash is still supposed to reshape the DC universe however they feel apropos. And at the original point, it was supposed to change it, and then the Shazam family would have these new costumes. And that's just... because that happened in the New 52.
This is hysterical.
So, after the Flashpoint comic and they relaunched the New 52, everybody got new costumes, new things, new that. So, it makes sense if you look at the comics, but it doesn't make sense. They don't even address why they have new costumes in this movie. But Freddy is still...
DC, look at you guys. You're so on point.
Oh, my God. Well, that's the problem when you... That's the problem when you have so many projects done and ready and surprisingly ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly it's change of leadership and change of directions. So, and unfortunately, Shazam has taken a huge box office dip, and it's unlikely we're going to get a sequel with any of the Shazam members. However,
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. And because if you listen to our episode, we did enjoy the movie, Ronnie and I. But in all honesty, like, I could see him being a supporting character. If they want to do a new Justice League movie, I think he would be a fun addition. Because
but you don't think he'll carry his own movie again, probably.
I don't think so, which I'm fine with, because in all honesty, you have Billy Batson, who's now 18, and they address it in the film that he's aging out of the foster care system, and that's kind of the big driving point emotionally for him. But in all honesty, we're at that point where 18-year-old Billy Batson's more mature than adult Shazam. And it's just jarring sometimes. They feel it. He's barely in the movie, the kid.
Oh, really? And so it's mostly Zachary Levi.
Mostly Zachary. Like, even when they're like hanging out like casually in like their lair, they're all in their superhero forms. Like, the kids aren't in it as much anymore. Which,
interesting.
It is what it is. But especially when you have a character.
And Zachary Levi was always he was very complimentary of James Gunn, and he's just like, guys, just let them do what they got to do. Like, stop freaking out about this. I'm sure it'll be good, but now it looks like maybe they won't.
Well, he's been doing a lot of interviews. Like, so he blames the Snyder fans, which I can understand that reasoning, unfortunately. As a Snyder fan myself, relax, keyboard warriors, like, relax.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't even joke. Make sure you listen to our episodes on all the Snyder films. We did a ton of stuff on it when Justice League was being re-released. And I'm a big fan, but in all honesty...
We just hit the 2-year anniversary of that.
Yeah, I know. That was a fun time. That was a fun time.
Oh, God.
It's wild, right?
It's crazy that's been 2 years already since that movie.
I still argue that it was one of the biggest things that HBO Max could have done to get people to sign up for their service.
Probably, yeah.
It was such a great move on their part.
Yeah.
Like, we have HBO.
They really haven't done anything like that since. Like, there's been no like promotional hey, this is the only place you can see this. Mm-hmm. Come and sign up.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, movies are going back into style again. People are going to the movies,
which is great.
Yeah. But,
I still think HBO Max is going to get a major rehaul at some point with the whole Discovery merger and all that stuff. So it's like,
which is fine.
Why would you?
Because we did the episode on streaming services on MF Uncensored.
We did,
and I think we ruled that HBO Max was our favorite at the time.
We did, because it was a big selection of movies. But the thing about, I guess I never thought of this, like, with Netflix puts something on and then take something off. Like, they actually judge, okay, this isn't getting viewed, take it off. Mm-hmm. I don't think HBO Max and Disney do that. They just leave everything on.
Yeah, especially Disney.
I think that's hurting their streaming numbers a little bit, whereas like people aren't watching certain things. Why are you keeping it on the app? Take it off, put more stuff on. But
yeah, because the whole point is to get new people, and that's why Netflix is now doing their half seasons. But that's also what keeps Disney Plus and HBO Max in business. They started off doing week to week. They were like, we're only doing week to week episodes.
That's true.
And Netflix kind of bit its own hands when it streaming became less about binging and more about new content.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if we had to wait each week for Stranger Things? Oh my God.
I have a feeling we'll have to wait.
They're
for
gonna,
next-
yeah,
for
it's gonna be
next season.
half seasons and all that stuff. That's their big thing
And
now.
especially by that time, where this whole secondary household thing is going to probably be in full effect. So you're going to have to pay for everyone pay for their own Netflix now, where you can't just borrow someone's password anymore and just watch from wherever.
So stupid. I mean,
It's like my Netflix right now has like 8 different people on it.
Mm-hmm. I think,
So,
yeah. Then I think you and I have your Paramount Plus. We're gonna have to figure this out, Sean.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to sit down and just really
well,
consolidate.
Netflix is the only one that's threatening to do it. I don't think any other
No.
apps are really, any other companies are really caring that much. I mean, Disney is, they're discussing whether to sell off Hulu or not. I think they're kind of like, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then HBO doesn't know what to do. And then Paramount's kind of just in the bottom going like, hey, don't forget about us.
They're trying their best. Their Nickelodeon stuff, that was their big draw.
But they have some decent stuff on Paramount Plus. I mean, Yellowstone. They have some decent made for the app shows and movies. So yeah, we'll see.
I'll take it.
But
No.
you know what? One company that's doing very well is A24, Paul.
Oh, yeah, that's ironic because we're going to be talking about them in a second. Before we do that, though, we did have a couple of trailers drop, and one I have to talk about with Sean is the Power Rangers, what is it, Once a Ranger special?
Oh,
Are you okay? You want to talk about it?
yeah. I'm just...
It's
I can't
weird.
wait.
It's weird, though. Like, it was a little jarring.
It's
some of it.
weird. I mean, listen, they're like almost 50. They're not the greatest actors in the world.
No, they were
I'm not expecting, Oscar-worthy material here, but my inner 7-8-year-old is going to be having a blast.
Yes.
And the costumes look fucking awesome. It's going to be, not every Ranger's returning, obviously, and obviously for different reasons, but they have a good selection of some of the originals. And then the second group, I think Rocky's going to be in it.
Rocky's going to be in it. Yeah.
Cat's going to be in it. The second Pink Ranger. I'm not sure if more are going to show up that we don't know about.
I hope so. I
I
hope they
don't-
didn't spoil all the cameos.
I kind of hope too. That would be great.
So we're excited for that. We'll have an episode on the Power Rangers special, and we'll talk Power Rangers in general. And then
That might be a special viewing party.
Oh,
That might have to be a viewing party.
I would not say no to it. And then one last trailer just for me to talk about. We had the second half of Titans. The final episodes. They just dropped their trailer, and it looks good. Unfortunately, HBO Max cut almost all their DC shows, and Titans was the longest running one. Titans and Doom Patrol are facing the end of their show, but they did release a new picture of the new Robin costume for Tim Drake, and it is awesome. Like, say what you will about like the writing or the actual script of that show, but oh my god, the costumes always on point. Never a miss with the costumes. Good. Like they made Robin look cool like 3 times now. Three different Robins, 3 different cool suits. And they've done like Nightwing, Red Hood, Superboy. Like they do a very good job with their costume work. But that is all of the news that we wanted to talk about today. So let's talk a little bit about the studio A24. Where did this place come from?
It's an independent entertainment company. It's based in Manhattan. They really have only been around since 2012, so it's been just over a decade. And they haven't done a lot. I mean, they've gotten very small selection of movies, but most of their movies are very award-winning movies. I mean, you've got Room, Ex Machina, Moonlight, Lady Bird, Uncut Gems, and then obviously the movie we're talking about today, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
The Whale.
All those movies I just said won, I think, at least one award of some sort.
They also did The Disaster Artist, the movie about the room.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's on there.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
You know what they also they also do TV, and you know what show that they do? Tacoma FD, the one with the Super Troopers guys. I was looking at the filmography, and I was like, why is Tacoma FD? Oh my god, I love that.
And they did The Whale.
Yeah.
So they secured all of the top awards this year at the Oscars.
Wild.
You know?
And I think
picture director.
Yeah, the thing about A24 is I feel like they really they take the story first, and then they build it with the actors in mind. They probably take so much time picking out scripts or picking out writers, and they only pick like it's wild. It's being like they have some of the best acclaimed movies in history, and they are not a big. Well, scratch that. Now they're big because iron's hot for them. Like for them to.
Well, I'm interested to see where they go from here, and how much, like, how bigger do they expand? Do they, you know?
I think, in all honesty,
I don't know if it's a publicly traded company, if they're going to go public and go bigger, but it's going to be interesting to see. Very much.
I think, in all honesty, they would do best if they still kept themselves pretty low key. Like, just.
I would hope so.
Because you know what happens when there's more money and more people and more voices involved, all the products are going to get diluted. So I'd rather.
That's always what happens.
Yeah, they don't need to be they are a big theater, like a big film company, without being a big film company. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see what they do next. And it's weird because I've never really followed a studio per se. Like, obviously Warner Brothers I follow, like, DC or Disney, Marvel, like that sort of thing. But like, it's weird for you to follow a studio and not just a single property from the studio.
Yeah. I like to go back and, with the older, back in when movie studios first started, and see how a studio has obviously come from where it started to where it is now. And, like, for example, Universal Studios started off as the B-est studio you could think of. Like, all their movies were just straight B movies. I think every once in a blue moon they would come out with an A movie. And look at where that company is now. I mean, they are still around. They have major theme parks in numerous locations around the world. They're owned by it's crazy. Paramount is still around. The only one really that's not around anymore is MGM. Fox is still around now. It's owned by Disney.
I'm waiting for Disney to buy A24. That's going to be the next thing you're going to hear.
There's rumors going around that Apple's going to buy Disney.
Really?
Yeah, that was the thing when Iger took back leadership. There was rumblings that they were trying to broker a deal to have Apple buy Disney, which I don't know if that would be allowed. Honest to God, I think
it's too much.
Way too much. I think the government would step in and be like, "Yo, no, can't do this."
You would, and this isn't MF Uncensored, but I'm going to say it. When there's so much money involved, you'd be surprised how things happen. Like to have like silly money like that, like Disney and Apple and all these companies, like.
And even look where Apple came from. I mean, like, that company was ready to die until Steve Jobs brought it back to life in the 90s. Steve Jobs, rest in peace.
Sean, who'd win in a fight? Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs? I feel like Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
But I feel like
Zuckerberg's a baby. Zuckerberg's a baby.
I feel like
Zuckerberg would cower in the corner.
I feel like Steve Jobs, though, he would actually have somebody else do it because he didn't want to touch people. I feel like he's one of those people. Like,
well, let's establish that they're both a-holes.
Yes.
Despicable a-holes. I mean, Jobs, for all he did, was just a horrible person. Not treat anybody correctly. And then Zuckerberg is just a little
secret Illuminati spy.
Oh my God.
Well, it's funny, like Steve Jobs.
I still have never seen The Social Network. And I just had no desire. I just had no desire to see it.
Watch it for the acting then. Because like Garfield kills it in that.
Ooh,
yeah. It's still greatest moment from the Oscars is when and you have to get through the best Spider-Man, and it cuts to Andrew Garfield. He's like, because like it was a joke, and I'm sure Andrew Garfield knew about it because his reaction was just too perfect. But like the entire audience was like, and I was like. No, that's hilarious, and I'm sure he took it on the chin. Like, they even joke about it in Spider-Man No Way Home, where he's Peter 3. Like,
yeah,
it's funny. But anyway, back to this film. So,
yes,
let's talk initial thoughts before we jump into our first break.
Oh, you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Well, why don't you go first?
All right. So, initial thoughts for this movie. I remember when the trailer came out, and I'm watching it, and I honest to God have no idea what's going on, and it breaks into the whole multiverse thing, and you're like, wait a minute, Marvel's doing this. We got like 4 multiverse movies coming out, in the next year. We need another one. But the cast was just, I mean, you couldn't say anything about that cast. Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ki-Hai Kwan, and it was just, I had no idea what was going on. No idea what was going on. Oh my God.
I can't explain this movie to people. I have a lot of trouble explaining it.
No, it's really, I mean, you think it's going to go one way, and it goes a totally different way. Mm-hmm. So as we'll get into when we, talk about, our initial, what we thought of the movie after the fact. But going into it, I thought it was going to be a totally different movie.
Oh,
I really did.
I didn't know anything. I thought it was going to be more superhero-y because all the trailers.
That's what I was. Yep.
The trailers were very big on showing her traveling through the multiverse, and it's like, you'll get skills from other people. Like, we've seen these things. What was it? Jet Li, The One. You remember that movie?
I do.
With Jason Statham.
That's
right.
Wow.
Like, for me, that was one of the very first multiverse movies that I ever saw, and the idea and the concept of it. And it's like you said, we now have so many multiverse movies coming out. And that's why we wanted to pull this film, because even though it's not a traditional superhero or comic book movie, the idea of the multiverse is now wild, and it's everywhere, and it's so much more mainstream, and people can understand it a little bit better. Like the CW, when they started their shows with the Arrow stuff, like, they were afraid at first, and then they did it in baby steps. Like, remember, like, I think Flash season 2 is the first time we saw just one other Earth. It's like, and that was it for the entire season. And now, oh god, my brain.
It's
commonplace.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now
I think it's a little overdone, from my opinion. But
so it's funny you say that, because I was just about to say, now it's becoming a trope.
Yes.
Like time travel or anything like that, or relying on flashbacks. It's now a storytelling device more than just something entertaining. But for this, it was much more entertaining and a good storytelling device.
Absolutely.
Because this movie had the visuals and the imagination to pull it off the right way. Because you watch, like as much as I do enjoy, seeing my superheroes do their stuff, we're going to go see The Flash, and it's going to be another Batman, but it's somebody we already know. We know Michael Keaton's Batman. There's gonna be two Barrys because they're both Barry. Like, it's not gonna blow our minds. This movie blew my mind. So, having said that, we are gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we are gonna break down this movie to the best of our limited intellectual capacity for a movie like this. That's gonna be. I've gone cross-eyed. But first, a quick break. Hey guys, it's Paul, and the Misfit Faction is looking for your help. We are trying to grow not only our network, but also grow our brands, and the best way to do that is if you guys are looking to start your very own podcast. Maybe you guys have been listening to us for a while. Maybe it's something you guys have always wanted to do, but you're not sure how to get started. If you go to podbean.com/misfitfaction, you guys will get a month of free podcasting set as a gift from us. So make sure if you guys are looking to start your own show, you reach out to us and go to podbean.com/misfitfaction. Also, maybe you guys have your own online business or service that you're always looking to grow, and advertising is a very big part of that. If you guys go to sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction, you guys can get $100 worth of free advertising, again, as a thank you from us to you guys. That's sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction. All right, we are back, and we are here. We're not going to do the plot of this movie because, for the love of God, trying to explain the plot of this movie, what? So off air,
it's tough.
Off air, just now we were talking about some of the things in this movie that just kind of like lost us, and not in like a bad way, like, kind of like lost us in terms of we don't like this movie. Lost us in terms of what is going on. So
it's one of those movies where you're just like, in a good way, you're wondering, how did someone come up with this? Like, I want to see the screenwriter's room, and I just want to see people bouncing ideas off their heads.
I feel like, and you know
what are the weirdest things we could put in this movie where people are going like, oh my God, that is amazing.
Yeah. So we were talking about how A24, like, how one of the benefits is that they're unique, or one of their unique benefits is that they are an independent film agency. So, unfortunately, the real issue we're having with all these multiverse movies is twofold. One is how much fan service is too much fan service. And then two, you still have that studio, whether it's, DC, Marvel, that's still above them saying, but it needs to connect to this, and this, and it needs to set up this, and this. This movie has a very unique ability where, A, it's not trying to build a franchise. They don't do franchises in A24. And also, B, I have a feeling that there was no such thing as a stupid idea for this movie. Like, whatever the writers could possibly throw out.
Yeah, and there was no, like, no one over them saying, oh, you got to lead into a sequel. Like, there was none of that. There was just, like, what makes sense, or if anything does make sense. Honest to God, I don't know. Still, nothing made sense in this movie. It was just a wild idea, and it grew and grew and grew, and it just kind of had to, like, in a way like tie together at the end, and then boom, there you go.
Yeah.
It wasn't, there was nothing about this where it's like, oh, this leads into another one. They didn't do anything like that. I actually waited. We watched the credits and I was like, I'm just going to you know what? I don't know. Maybe there'll be a mid-credit scene, but there wasn't.
Nope, nothing.
And yeah, which I'm fine with. I was just wondering, will they? I don't know. Will there be like one weird little clip of a character that we thought was dead? I don't know.
Like the dog like the dog that gets like thrown.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with the cast because the cast deserves so many kudos and so much acclaim and recognition for this movie. We have Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Kwan Wang. So basically, she is the matriarch of this Asian family that owns a laundromat. She's having trouble connecting with her daughter. She's having even more trouble connecting to her husband, which she realizes the daughter one, but she doesn't realize the husband one. That was heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, that scene where they're talking and she walks away from him and he's got the papers in his hand. You could tell he has no idea how to do this.
Yeah.
He's upset about it himself. He's like, he loves her, but he's just like, there's nothing left here. We can't do this anymore.
So basically, the story takes place for the most part in the IRS of all places. It's very single location.
Their laundromat is another.
And then when they travel throughout the multiverse, you get some other set pieces. But for the most part, like this whole,
those are the two big ones.
Yeah, which is interesting. Like it's always interesting when you do some sort of singular location. And for the sake of it, it works. And basically the whole movie is that we find out that there's this Alpha universe, that's what they call it specifically, where there's a terrorist named Jobu Tabaki, and she has figured out a way. So basically, in this universe, jumping from multiple through reality is totally possible. They use it through technology. There's no magic, nothing like that, and basically, it has to involve the person who's using it doing something so out of the weirdest thing that a person could possibly do to activate this jump to another alternate reality. That was an interesting concept. However, sometimes it was really hard to watch. The paper cut thing, I was like, oh no. Oh, it's like, all right, you got to do a paper cut on the inside of all your fingers or something. And then like some of them were wild, but again, great concept. And I'm sure in the writer's room, they had so much fun with it.
They were laughing like, they're never going to accept this. Come on.
So Michelle Yeoh, definitely, she's one of the highlights of the movie. Like, they're all highlights, but I do really enjoy. At one point, she gets lost going through the multiverse. And again, this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it already, make sure you guys check out the film, come back, re-listen to where we are. And I don't want anybody to get totally spoiled. But in all honesty, we're not doing plot stuff because, oh my God, my brain. And there's a great scene of her traveling through the multiverse and living in different lives. And it's one where she's a famous movie actress, I want to say.
She's basically, herself. She's
famous for doing kung fu.
She's the character, but they're using literally clips of her walking the red carpets throughout her career. You clearly see behind her in one shot of her, I think when she's at the premiere of Crazy Rich asians, so it's interesting how they pulled that off. And then there's one where she is a chef,
the Ratatouille style chef.
Well, she's not the Ratatouille chef.
Yeah, Henry Shum is. Henry
Shum is, which, and it's not even Reddit. It's I can't even pronounce Rekakuni.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that, I just was just like, you're referencing a movie that literally came out 15 years ago,
and it's still funny.
And
we understood it. We understood the reference completely.
I know. That's what it's like, crazy to me. And it just, oh my God.
This whole movie reminds me of the episode of Family Guy, The Road to the Multiverse.
Yeah.
To a point, right? Like, this is a world where, this happened. This is a world where this didn't happen. Like, I like that.
In that sense, yes.
Like they do the Disney world, which is just hilarious in that.
In their way they have it set up is every time a life event happens, it breaks into a separate universe.
Very, very simple universe. Yeah, very simple parallel
universe where we begin the movie. They're married. They own a laundromat. There's the universe where they don't go together, and she becomes a famous, chef or a famous movie actress or I don't know what the last one was. Why am I blanking on it? Oh, a singer.
It's something like that.
Is it the same?
She does. She's got a lot of roles in this one. But
Yeah,
I think.
and then
Go ahead.
and then even for the husband too. I mean, you see him not in all of them, but you see him in the one where she's the famous movie actress. He is now re-entered her life, and he is just, I think that's the scene that won him the Oscar.
I was going to say, and it's also one of my
like,
favorite scenes. I think he said something along the lines of like, in another life, I would have loved to do laundry and taxes.
Do laundry with you.
Yeah, and it's just, he kills it. Like, so the thing about Michelle Yeoh in this is she doesn't play different characters. She plays herself, getting skills and abilities from other versions of herself. Yeah. For for Data,
struggling.
I'm really struggling with this one. I don't know. He's able to change who he is, and he's different in so many. And I think that's really why he definitely the Academy Award. Like the fact that he was able to constantly shift, and like it's really cool to watch. Where he's like, "Hi, I'm just I doing the laundry," and then suddenly he's like, "All right, now this like it's just he does it so well, and those transitions."
Oh, the scene
really
in the
good.
elevator where he goes from Wayman to the Alpha Wayman, and he's just so confident, and he's then he starts with all the fighting, and I mean it's really crazy. It really is just perfect casting, perfect.
Well, originally the role was written for Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so
that would have been interesting.
I'm glad that they went with him, and again, it's one of those things where it's like he's an actor. He's been in Hollywood for over like 40 years, like something crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, 84. So it's been literally just about to hit the 40th year of him, working, but he's not been able to find work.
Yeah,
on a regular basis. He couldn't pay.
Couldn't
he
pay
was
bills.
Worried that he wouldn't be. His insurance had like fallen through. He couldn't afford to pay for insurance because he didn't know if this movie was going to succeed or not. So it's really crazy, and I'm hoping. I hope we see more of him. I hope he has a steady career. I don't want to be over there's sometimes where you get an actor who wins an award and then they're in everything. Like I don't want to see him in everything, but I want him to have a steady.
What about everywhere? All at once?
All at once, maybe.
I think the best thing that they could do right now is put him and Brendan Fraser in a movie together. If they want to strike hard and strike fast, a very simple. Like again,
you put them in the new Mummy movie.
Oh my god! This reminds me of the time with Dr. Jones.
I really, if it wasn't fully completed filming, I would have wanted them to somehow get him into the new Indiana Jones as an adult short round.
Oh, that'd be wild. That would be. That
would have been. And can you believe that they had not spoken to each other since the movie? Like when he got up on stage, when Harrison Ford gave them the Best Picture Oscar, that's the first time they'd seen each other in 40 years, which blows my mind. Like you don't run in, like you just for shits and giggles, you don't run into someone. I mean, I guess not. I mean, it sounds like Spielberg really didn't, keep in contact with him either after Goonies. Yeah. So I mean, that's crazy to me.
It's awesome that they're finally that these guys are finally getting their dues. Him, Brendan Fraser, all these actors, and
Jamie Lee Curtis.
So I am still slightly divided on the Jamie Lee Curtis thing. She's great in this movie. So let's talk about her really quick. Jamie Lee Curtis plays Deirdre. Last name I can't pronounce. Bordebeer. She's an IRS inspector. Yeah. So she's an IRS inspector, and she does play some alternate versions of herself. I liked her in this, but I can't pick out a scene where it's like, well, this is why she deserves best.
I think honestly it was the scene outside the laundromat
it's a great scene.
Yeah. But I think what it is, another thing that adds to it is just she's so playing against type of what she normally plays.
She's so mean.
She's totally made up to look like, nothing like she's ever looked before. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is a very good looking woman at her age. And she is just very baggy, very just doesn't care about her appearance much in this movie. She's definitely an old cat mom lady. She is.
I didn't want to say it because we both have cat moms in our lives.
Well, there's nothing against being a cat mom. There's nothing against. I'm just saying it's just the character. She's so kind of covered by all that extra makeup and costume that it's just kind of a weird performance.
Yeah, and, I can get that. But
so I do believe probably it was kind of again, it's there are these times where you get these award winners and you feel like it's kind of like oh, hey, this is an award for everything you've done. But I never got that sense with Jamie Lee Curtis. I just think it was, they voted for her. I mean, if you want to give it someone for everything they've done, Angela Bassett is going to be the one you're going to give that to because she's done so many good things. But yeah, like I said, we've gone into it numerous times before. I don't understand how the voting works. It's, is it just the actors who vote on the actors? Is it everybody who votes on it? I don't know. I never know how it works. But
so continuing the cast, we have Stephanie Hsu as Joy, and
she was fantastic.
I hope we see her in some more stuff. Like, oh my God, she was like as Joy. She was. Did you see Turning Red, the Pixar movie? So it gave me a lot of the same vibes. Where this movie tackles a lot of things. It talks about generationalism and depression, Asian American culture, and generational trauma is a really big thing that's being talked about nowadays. Where how did our upbringing actually negatively impact us? Like, nowadays it's much, and I'm not going to get into too much of this because I don't know too much about this, but there's a lot of conversation about how our previous generation imprinted a lot of things on us that maybe weren't for the best, right? And unfortunately, generation to generation is totally different. My parents, we talk about bills and mortgages and all that stuff, and my parents, like my stepdad was able to retire and not do anything. Like they were fine. My mom still worked, till her retirement, but like that's just the way that it was in the 90s and very early 2000s, where you could just retire and you could live off your pension and all these things. Nowadays, I still have another like 13 years till retirement, but I'm already thinking, well, what am I going to do financially afterwards? Like it's wild that you used to think like retirement, like done. All right, I won, race over. Now it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. But you could, or you find a second job and you work towards retirement that job, and then you get two pensions.
Oh God, I can't. This is my other job. All of this podcasting stuff. Make sure you guys check out our website, themisfitfaction.com. Ton of articles there. All of our shows. That's the goal. But anyway, so I really hope we get to see her in some more films because she's got a very small resume. She did. She started acting in 2010. She's only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies. She was in Shang-Chi.
Still never seen that.
Oh my God, it's pretty good. That's probably the last really good Marvel movie besides Spider-Man. But and then she did a little bit of television, but otherwise she has not been doing too much. So she killed it in this film. She really did, and like she won a ton of awards for it. I don't think she didn't get any Academy Awards for this.
She was nominated, and I thought she was going to win it. Like if they were going to give it to an actor from this movie, I thought it was going to be her. I think she won the Golden Globe, maybe, or one of the early awards, and then won, like I said, once Jamie Lee Curtis won the SAG award, I was like,
that's usually how it goes. Yeah, she's won a bunch of small things, like very small town. I'm trying to see. I'm just going through this really quick, so bear with us. Spirit Awards, she won a lot of like small things, but Screen Actors Guild Awards. All right, but that was part of the cast. She was nominated though for Best Supporting Actress with that. So I hope she does some more stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing her.
See, I didn't realize this movie started filming back in January of 2020. I mean, this is didn't realize. I thought this had started filming like probably after the major COVID outbreak, but it started filming before.
Yeah, I think they also benefit.
It wrapped right before pandemic.
Well, I'm glad they waited on it a little bit, and that all worked out for them. Because even though it's a small cast, there's still a lot of extras in this and a lot of people in this. So unfortunately, I can't wait like in 10 years for us to look back at the television and movies that came out during the pandemic era and just kind of evaluate like how much it impacted them. Like I'll always say that Supernatural had one of the worst endings because of COVID. Simply because of COVID. Because they did the smart thing where they extended and did like a mini second half of the season, but you can tell that they hadn't filmed the finale yet when the outbreak happens. And you hear stories about filming in Canada for TV and movies, and they were strict.
They're still strict.
Yeah, so like I know Jensen
not as strict, but they're still
Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki told stories about how they were flown up from Texas, because that's where they live, to Canada, and they were quarantined in their hotel rooms or their apartments, whatever they were set up with for filming, for 2 straight weeks. They were not allowed to leave. Yeah. They like had to get food delivered. I think they were allowed to like walk their dog, but that was about it. And just like to film, and then to get an entire cast to do that. Like if I was a working actor in Hollywood and I was like, all right, you want to fly up to Canada and, you know, film a 5-minute cameo, however you have to quarantine. Now it's like a 6-week process to do a 5-minute cameo. I'd be like, no, probably not.
If you're getting paid for it, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Some other actors in this film: Jenny Slate as Debbie the dog mom. All right, so she's one of those like people in the laundromat. Now, one of the reasons I want to mention this was because, so this movie deals with some of the Asian stereotypes, but they also, unfortunately, Evelyn's a little racist sometimes. She calls her big nose, and it really is just a commentary on her actual facial structure. And she calls it to her in whatever language that they're speaking. And apparently they had to change, because that was how she was credited to, as Big Nose. Mm-hmm. So they had to change it because people were like, hey, not cool. So they're like, all right, we got you. We also have James Hong as Gung Gung. All right. The he's really good at playing the stereotypical like Asian dad.
He's been around forever.
Still will say his greatest claim to fame should be Balls of Fury.
Revenge of the Nerds Part 2.
Who'd win in a fight? But yeah, no, I like him. I think he does a really good job. Obviously,
when he in the wheelchair just comes out of nowhere and like crashes into Jamie Lee Curtis, it is a great scene.
We love like out of nowhere violence. I hate you about your death. Like just all those things just coming off from the side. But he does a good job. How old is he now? He's got to be really up there.
He's almost 100. I think, because he was, when they brought him up on stage. No, he's 90.
94.
I can do math.
He's 94.
94.
So yes, he is almost 100. Let's just call it as it is. But oh my god, yeah, and he got up on stage. Wild.
He's been around since the 1950s. He was in the original Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Oh man, oldest person to ever get a star.
I'm sorry, he dubbed the voices of a character in the original Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
And at 93 years old, he became the oldest person to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
God bless. There you go.
So he's great in this, and he's still with it. Like he's able to portray multiple different versions. Like he does a good job. Mm-hmm. So, and then any other cast members that we really want to bring up?
Just the one, I guess, cameo from Harry Shum Jr. He plays Chad, the chef with the Raccoonie, which again was just one of the many just crazy things they came up with in this movie.
Oh my god! Well, just the bagel alone.
Oh god, the bagel, the statue on Jamie Lee Curtis, just whatever that.
Oh, the trophies, yeah. On a rewatch, you know exactly what those are going for. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the best scenes
when
ever.
They are trying to come up with when they have to come up with whatever it is to the jump, and it's like you have to shove this up your butt. And they're just trying to get it away from the guy, and then one of the other guys just comes out of nowhere, pantless, and just
he's got one. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was dying. I was laughing I saw it was so funny.
Yeah, I think that's also the benefit.
My
of this
girlfriend's
movie.
just going like, "It's still out. It's still hanging out. It's still hanging out."
And then the other guy appears, and he's got one just hanging there. And you're like, "Oh,
he's got one too." I'm just like, "Oh my god, this is amazing. It's hysterical."
It makes you wonder though, like if I were to like the paper cut thing, right? Now, do those wounds heal? Do I still feel it? Like I don't know, because like those people's bodies should be messed up. Because there's the one scene where they all they have 20 extras all having to do something, and it's just like one's humping the ground, one's eating a desk.
I remember that. That was another part when I just started laughing. I was just like, "Is he humping the ground?" He's doing it.
Yep. There's so many things happening at once. So
that I think was the most original idea for this movie. It wasn't just a machine causing you to jump. It was by doing this mundane, weird task in order to jump. Coming up with these things, I thought was the most original idea of the movie. I thought it's just really interesting.
I could feel I feel like the original pitch was just that. Was like, what if it was a multiverse movie, but you had to do something stupid to travel it, and then build around it.
And then he built around it, yeah. I mean, it says here that the co-directors began researching the concept of multiverses as early as 2010, but they said that they saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and felt that they already got beaten to the idea of what they were going to do. So they've been working on this idea for over a decade, but seeing Rick and Morty come along, the second season they said Rick and Morty was hard to watch because it really dealt with the whole multiverse thing. So it's interesting, but again, they just went in a totally different direction with it. So it wasn't just repeating something Marvel was doing or DC's doing. It was a totally different idea.
Totally different idea.
Makes it so much better.
Yeah, I think this again, it benefits from the fact that they had no franchise oversight that they had to worry about.
No, agreed.
So let's do a Star City rating for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I gotta go 4. Definitely 4.
I might even go 4.5. Like it's weird though. I would give it a 5. Like this is very close to the 5 movie, but it's never a movie I'm ever going to turn on again because it hurts my brain. The only time I will watch this movie again is if I'm showing it to somebody and they want to watch it. Like if my wife's like, "Hey, I want to see this movie," I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll sit down and watch it with you." Like that, no brainer. But this is a movie.
This is definitely a movie you recommend to numerous people,
and it's a movie
and I love that
you have to pay attention to. You can't every time you watch things in this movie, you see something different, and it's really cool. But all right, so we have our Fan Feedback Friday. This week, what is the greatest live-action supersuit of all time? And this was inspired by the fact that they did release the new Robin suit. This kind of encouraged me to be like, hey, what's a film that looks fantastic, but just you don't really care about the script? We have Captain America in Endgame. We have Michael Keaton's Batman. We have, as a joke, Adam West Batman. Thanks, Ronnie. And then he actually specified, I was kind of surprised with this one, the Batman vs. Superman Batsuit.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
We have Iron Man from Iron Man 1 specifically because the rest are all, for the most part, CGI. Our friend Mike wrote Superman. I was kind of surprised. Yeah.
Which one?
Henry Cavill. Hey, whoa. Our friend Alex
People
wrote...
have such a crush on Henry Cavill. I don't get it.
He's so handsome.
All right.
He's so jacked.
Okay.
You suck. Oh my God. Our friend Alex wrote Guyver. I've never seen the Guyver, so that's actually funny, but he's got a picture of the suit too, and it actually looks pretty good. Let's see. Our friend Matt wrote Iron Man, obviously. We have, my friend Martin was Jackie Chan in the tuxedo. It's actually really funny. Well done, RB. But our friend Carino did the Iron Spider suit from Spider-Man, which one? Oh my God, I can't. Far From Home. Yes, the second one.
No Way Home, Far From Home, Homecoming.
And your dad put I Love Lucy when she's dressed as Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, well done. I think that one actually wins. But if you guys are looking to participate in Fan Feedback Friday, it's super easy. Just go to our website, go to Facebook, type in the Multiverse Fancast, and every Friday between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we put up our Fan Feedback Friday. Answer it there, and make sure you guys... also, check out our website, themisfitfaction.com. We have brand new articles on there. I just started doing reviews of the show Gotham Knights. Oh my God, it's bad.
My brain hurts.
Oh my God, it's bad. Like I tried.
So you're gonna stick with it just to trash it?
I think so. I put in the very first.
I love your honesty.
I put in the first review that I'm gonna give it a fair shake because you can't judge an entire show on its pilot. Pilots tend to, in retrospect, never be the strongest. Strongest part of the show. So I've done the first 2 episodes and we'll see what happens on episode 3. They usually come out every Thursday is my goal for that one. So you can also find us on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just type in either the Multiverse Fancast or the Misfit Faction. Odds are you'll find some of our stuff. And if you want to hear more of Sean's dulcet tones, make sure you check out the Cinematic Adventures podcast. Hi, I'm dulcet.
Hi.
We don't even have that in the bathroom, a dulcet. But anyway. I got him. So that's going to wrap us up for today. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm not Ronnie, but I'm Sean.
And we'll be back in a flash.